Howdy folks, welcome back to the Road Racing 360 show presented by 1833 CJ Knows. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have not yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Hit that little subscribe button. Share, like these videos. We appreciate it greatly. We've got some news from this past week of road racing, so stay tuned and get caught up. As always, before we jump into it, we have to thank our presenting sponsor, 1833 CJ Knows Accident and Injury Law. They ride, they race, and they know the law. If you've been involved in an accident, get a hold of CJ Zai and his crew at 1833 CJ Knows Accident and Injury Law. So this weekend, we're kicking off the MotoGP race at Sachsenring. Now, this is the track in Germany that is very unorthodox due to the fact that it has 10 left-hand turns and only 3 right-handers. So if you favor those left-hand turns, this is the track for you. We're going to do a little preview action of what's going on, but first we have to address the news that Gresini Racing has announced that next year they will not be running the Aprilias that they currently are running the factory team for, but instead will be racing Ducatis, and they will be housing the 2 seats for Enea Bastianini and newcomer to the class, Fabio Di Gianantonio. So big step for Gresini as they're going to go to a brand that has been proven and is currently winning races, as well as 2 up-and-coming guys that are going to be staples in the MotoGP paddock for a long while. But that is not until next year. Let's address this year's race. So we're going into Sachsenring, which is undoubtedly the track that is owned by Marc Marquez. But given the conditions of his health and the bike that Honda has provided for him this year, there seems to be definitely a little more doubt over if Marquez is going to be able to dominate as he has. So this is not just some 2 or 3 year win streak. Marc Marquez has won and captured pole position the last 10 times that MotoGP has come into Sachsenring, depending on not just the MotoGP class, but back to Moto2 and his 125 days. That's an absolutely insane streak. So when asked in the press conference if Marc would be able to continue that streak, his rivals didn't seem to put it out of the question at all. I think they all universally were under the impression that this is a track that Marc Marquez still has a good shot at being there and competitive and fighting for the win on Sunday. Marquez himself also seemed to think that this could be a round that would be beneficial for him, mainly due to the fact that it does have the 10 left-hand turns, and that is better for his condition with his arm. Seeing as he only has 3 right-hand turns to navigate, he seemed to think that this would be the first race without physical limitations for him. So can Marc extend his streak to 11? It's going to be tough this year, but we'll just have to wait and find out. Another question raised by this track was, how would the Ducatis do? Ducati has been on it this year and probably has one of the best bikes they've ever put together as far as how competitive it is for multiple riders. When asked if they thought that this could be a track where the GP21 would struggle, Jack Miller didn't really seem to think so. He said that he's really confident with their 2021 package, and considering the last time they rode here was actually 2019, since they did not go here during this COVID-affected round last year, he seemed to think that this would be a spot where they wouldn't necessarily struggle. And while he wasn't saying they dominate or anything, he did seem to think that this would be a track where they could have a shot at being competitive. Now that's it for MotoGP. Tune in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on MotoGP.com or wherever MotoGP is shown where you watch, and see what does happen come race day. Moving on to World Superbike, we did have race action this past weekend in Misano. In the Superbike class, race 1 would see Michael Ruben Rinaldi take off and start to run away with the race. Now, Jonathan Rea would give chase, but would nearly crash. He made an absolutely incredible save, and while it wasn't a Marc Marquez on the elbow save, the front was nearly tucked. He saved it on his knee and salvaged a ton of points. He did manage to keep it on two wheels, came home third behind Toprak Razgatioglu, who finished second, and Michael Ruben Rinaldi, who did have a pretty convincing win in first. Now, that order of the top three would repeat itself for the Super Pole race on Sunday morning, but on Sunday afternoon in race 2, Toprak would get the best of the two other guys, would finish first. Michael Ruben Rinaldi would have an incredible weekend, coming home second, and Jonathan Rea third again. Now, Rea does still lead the points and is continuing his trend of being the top dog in World Superbike. Now back to MotoAmerica news. We did have MotoAmerica in action at Road America this weekend. And in the Superbike class, it would be another trend of domination continued by Jake Gagne. Jake Gagne, barring the first round issue in race 1 with the motor, has been the man to beat. He has been kind of what Cam Beaubier had been doing before, but doing that this year. He has now won 5 races in a row. He did the double this last weekend at Road America and did it pretty convincingly. They weren't just battles to the end. They were pretty much just dominations from lap 1. Now in race 1, Loris Baz and Cam Peterson would round out the podium. And then race 2 would see Cam Peterson come home second and Matthew Skoltz come home third. Now Baz would have a mechanical again, which would see him fall back quite a ways in the points. I would like to give a shout out to Cam Peterson. He has been riding incredible in his first year back in the Superbike class after his awesome run in the Stock 1000 series last year. His first 2 Superbike podiums came this weekend and came pretty convincingly. Not a fluke, not due to a mechanical or somebody crashing out. The man straight up earned it and has been riding really well this year for this new team, and it would be awesome to see him on top of the box sometime throughout the season. The third round of the season, which was at Road America, would also present the second round for the King of the Baggers series. This is a pretty crazy class that has seen a factory Harley team and a factory Indian team join the fray, as well as teams like Hoban Brothers, Vance and Hines, Roland Sands Designs. A ton of people have come and put a bunch of time and effort into making these behemoths go around the track and actually really freaking fast too. So this weekend, Harley would take their first win in the King of the Baggers series, and they would actually sweep the podium. Part of this was due to the factory Indian of Tyler O'Hara having a mechanical issue which would cause him to DNF with a couple laps remaining in the race. Now, when the mechanical happened, he was a little ways behind Kyle Wyman on his Screaming Eagle factory Harley, and that would see Kyle come home first, take his first Harley win. Now to make it even better for Harley and the Wyman family, Travis Wyman, who had just recently joined the team, came home second, and then Hayden Gillum on the Vance & Hines Harley-Davidson would come home third. Supersport provided probably the best race that we have seen this year between two guys just absolutely duking it out. The first race, we saw 35 lead changes between Richie Escalante and Sean Dillon Kelly. Just left and right, every time they seemed to get a chance, they would just be stuffing it up in there on each other. And what made it even crazier is what happened on the last lap. Now, while there was no for sure guess who would win, we figured it would be one of these two. But both of them had other plans because charging down into turn 5, both of them broke as late as probably humanly possible, got it sideways coming in there, and then both proceeded to crash. Not into each other, just separate low sides at just about the same time. We would see Sean Dillon Kelly low side, as you see right here, and then Richie Escalante would follow soon after. This would allow Stefano Mesa, the true privateer, to come home with his first win in the Supersport category. Sam Lockoff, the rookie on the M4 X-Star Suzuki, would come home second, and Benjamin Smith would come home with a podium in third. Now race 2, the two front runners would manage to keep it on two wheels. Richie would win the race. Sean Dillon Kelly would be second, and Stefano Mesa, another podium, coming home third. In Stock 1000, we saw Jake Lewis take the win, Jeff May on his Honda in second, and Corey Alexander third. Junior Cup, crazy big battle as always, especially with the track with the long straights of Road America. Would see Tyler Scott come home first, Cody Wyman second, Ben Galati third, and race 2 would see Gus Rodeo come home with his first MotoAmerica podium and a win at that. Tyler Scott second, Max Toth third, and then in Twins Cup, we would see Caleb DeCarroll on the Aprilia RS660 on the Rubin Engineering bike come home with the win. Jackson Blackman on his Yamaha second, and Chris Parrish third. So that is all we've got for this week on the Road Racing 360 show presented by 1833 CJ Knows. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned. We've got another episode of Under the Visor, our behind-the-scenes series, coming soon from this last weekend at Road America. If you have not seen the first 2 episodes yet, go back on our channel and check those out. Really cool videos. Wouldn't want you to miss it. Thank you guys again for tuning in. We'll see you next week.